Okay, stop copying me. Stop copying me!
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it. I hate this channel.
Hey there, I'm the SIJW V Infuso. And you know, I've been watching wrestling since late 1997, all the way to occasionally now. And if there's anything I've learned from it, it's that there is nothing new in the world of wrestling. What I mean is now we kind of live in a point in time where wrestling has done everything it can do. All that's really left is to continually perfect what's already been done. And that's no new notion either. That's something wrestling has been doing for a very long time. I mean, come to think of it, Ric Flair isn't the first Nature Boy. Dwayne Johnson isn't the first Rock. Even with all that being said, I'm surprised that there's one gimmick in particular that continues to be recycled. The Impersonator. And no, I'm not talking about the DX and the NWO parodies. Although those are fantastic. I'm talking about wrestlers who were given the gimmick of pretending that they were other wrestlers. For example, The Big Show. Let's start with what is probably the worst of the worst. In an effort to prove that he was just as much of an entertainer as he was a wrestler, The Big Show would begin dressing up and mimicking those he shared a locker room with. He'd be introduced and called by their names just with show thrown in. Like when he came out as Hogan, he was the Showster. When he came out as Val Venus, he was the Big Showboski. When he was Rikishi, he was Shokishi. Wow, you writers, you guys are clever. This was goofy fun, but these segments really weren't ideal for building up the big man as a big threat. And it's moves like this that I think ultimately dulled down the Big Show character. Goldust. Much like the Big Show, Goldust would dress up and act like his opponents or pop culture figures of the later 90s. This was all during his time as the artist formerly known as Goldust, which was also Goldust impersonating Prince, and also something that I think truly dates this gimmick. Like Big Show, his impersonations would include Dust in the impersonatee's name. When he came out as Sable, he was Sable Dust. When he impersonated his own father, Dusty Rhodes, he was Dusty Dust. Guys, again, this is A+, an A+ on these names, 10 stars. While some of his impressions were pretty good,
the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, 5-time World Heavyweight Champion, had a legendary feud with Terry Funk. Well, Terry Funk always whooped my ass, so I don't want to talk about that right now.
This time period has to be looked at as an all-time low in a career retrospective on Goldust. One that I do intend on making one of these days. I don't know when, don't ask me in the comments. The BWO. During their time in Raven's Nest, the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards served as his loyal, dopey henchmen. And upon adding Supernova to their team, they began impersonating big-time wrestling acts and pop culture figures at the time. But few got over as much as the Blue World Order. An obvious rib on the super popular New World Order, with the Blue Meanie taking up the role of the bad guy Scott Hall, being called the Blue Guy, Supernova becoming Hollywood Nova, and Steven Richards becoming Big Stevie Cool. It was originally intended as a one-time goof in a long line of goofing off, but they were forced to bring this gimmick out of retirement when people began showing up to the ECW bingo hall with BWO signs. They'd officially take on the persona of a parody of the NWO, and would still from time to time impersonate figures such as Kiss, Stevie Richards. I guess it wasn't enough to be part of a three-man parody team, as Stevie Richards took that gimmick with him for himself when he first entered the WWF. He'd begin imitating tag teams such as the Brood, the Dudley Boys, the Acolytes, before becoming for a brief time period, Dude Love. I remember tuning in around this time and being really confused. Because while he acted like all those other wrestlers once, he was Dude Love for several episodes. So I was, as a child, trying to figure out if he really was now supposed to be Dude Love. I don't know what the end goal there was, but I don't think they meant it. What's worse is Stevie's impressions either sucked or were entirely non-existent. His impersonator gimmick began and ended with how he was dressed. He didn't really act like these wrestlers, he just tried to look like them. I don't know what they were doing. I feel like I don't know what they were doing. I really don't. I can't even try to begin to understand. Richards would go on to badly rib Chyna and Chris Jericho before eventually dropping the gimmick. And the world is a better place for it. Charlie Haas. What did you do? What did y'all do to my boy Charlie? What kind of monsters did this to him? Poor Charlie Haas was given the gimmick in question, and to be fair, I think more than any other name on this list, the most was done with him. It always seemed that his impressions were a staple of the time period. I mean, some people tuned in looking forward to seeing who he'd pretend to be next. And he was involved in a lot more promos and segments than he had been before. Hell, come to think of it, more than most people who were given this gimmick have been before. I'm sorry, I don't do the English goods. I also think that out of everyone who had this gimmick, he probably spoofed the most people, becoming everyone from Jim Ross to Beth Phoenix. Charlie's impressions also weren't all that notable, but the gimmick was over enough to get consistent airtime. Charlie was not missing a paycheck. And you know what? There was something strangely likable about him during this time period. I mean, I've always liked Charlie Haas, but I always thought that he had the personality of a cardboard cutout. And here, it really gave him a chance to be goofy, and it was just fun. It looked like he was enjoying himself, and by extension, people enjoyed watching him. And that's really the same for anything that you do, including YouTube. I'll give you an example. If I made a video, which I have in the past, where I basically, I sound like this the entire time in the video. I'm just going through the motions. I'm not really feeling it. I'm probably exhausted. You know, if I made that video, people would be like, Jesus Christ, this guy sounds like the child of Ben Stein in a speaking spout. And you know what? I know this because people have done that. I once made a video with Brian Zane where I was so ridiculously tired. I was coming off of a cold, and people caught on. And they were like, oh, this guy sucks, this, that, and the other thing. Meanwhile, those same people have since come to my channel and been like, wow, why weren't you like this on there? So, you know, enjoy what you're doing, and people will enjoy watching you or listening to you. Don't enjoy it, and people will cast the first stone.
That kid's got an arm.
Dolph Ziggler. For a while, in one of the company's nonstop ingenious experiments in getting Dolph Ziggler over, they decided to make him the guy who mocked others, mimicked their entrances, and then would whine at the crowd asking them why they like it. It was stupid, it was pointless, and so is most of Dolph's career now. Thanks, booking, you guys did it. Incredibly talented individual, and now everybody thinks he sucks. You did that. That was you. Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is easily one of, if not the most entertaining impersonator gimmick in all of wrestling history. I say that a lot, don't I? In all wrestling history. I gotta come up with new words. I don't do the English goods. In a segment of Paparazzi Productions, Jay Lethal revealed to Kevin Nash that he could do a pretty spot-on Macho Man impression.
Macho Man, yeah, hear it in color, yeah, paparazzi idol, yeah. I don't know you, you're fat and you're oily, yeah.
Well, Jay, outstanding. Here's a white piece of notebook paper. You're going to Paducah.
Hey, that's pretty good. I should have got you to do my outro. Instead, I went to Fiverr. Yeah, guys, that's not me at the end. I know a couple of you guys think it is. That is not my voice. My Macho Man impression is pretty good, but it's not that good. No, it's not. No, it's not. Anyway, his impression was so good that once it got out, it got over. And Jay took that ball and ran with it. He'd become known as Black Machismo, and for a while, his whole gimmick was literally to be the Macho Man Randy Savage. And to be fair, he kinda excelled at that. Though this would be more fitting for an imposter wrestler video rather than an impersonator wrestler video. But, you're forgetting that he also would go on to impersonate Ric Flair. Damien Sandow. This one, I'm just going to be honest, this one hurts. Damien Sandow was incredibly talented, and yet for some reason he was regulated to making poor impersonations for a living. Damien's impersonations were not good. They, like Stevie and like Charlie, began and ended with what he wore. It also aped the Goldust and Big Show gimmicks, as Sandow would often incorporate sand into his mockery. Like when he met Bret the Hitman Hart as Bret Sandhart. Oh, that's good. That's good. His parodies included the likes of Vince McMahon, Sheamus, X-Pac, and Magneto, because Hugh Jackman was on that episode of Raw. The gimmick would lead to him finding success as Miz's stunt double, where he'd literally follow and duplicate Miz's every step. And honestly, it was great. He was great. I mean, this has to be seen as the bright, blinding silver lining to the dark rain cloud that was this gimmick. But eventually it come to an end, which would lead to Damien becoming Macho Mandow, which was terrible. It wasn't good. It was bad. It sucked. Couldn't hold the candle to Black Machismo. Jason Sensation. How could I make this list without bringing up Jason Sensation? Jason Sensation, who you may or may not know, is the personification of this list and this video. It would feel wrong to do it without him, so I didn't. Jason Sensation was hired by the WWE because of just how good he was at doing impressions. He was an additional member of DX, joining in their parodies of their opponents and quite often stealing the spotlight from one of the company's most over acts. He played Owen Hart in this promo.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change! And if anybody smells what The Rock is cooking, it's me. Look how big my damn nose is! What the hell am I? An art mark?
He played Shawn Michaels in this segment.
Wanna know why the Heartbreak Kid doesn't lie down for anybody? 'Cause he's always bending over.
Sean, you dropped the ball again.
He even broke out these impersonations on commentary and during public appearances with the company from time to time. He'd later go on to become Rudy, a backstage worker who constantly got caught mimicking some of the company's top talent. For everyone else on this list, the wrestlers were given the impersonator as a part-time gimmick. For Jason, however, that gimmick was pretty much his entire career. And you know what? He was the best at it. And to his credit, I think he might be the most successful and the most entertaining with this gimmick. I mean, how could you not watch his parodies and laugh? Unless you have no soul. In which case, I want nothing to do with you vampires.
And yet somehow, I just can't seem to care.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You're watching the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso's channel, dude. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that little bell icon to get updates and notifications. Ooh, tell him what up, Mach. Ooh, yeah. Follow the man on Twitter, yeah, because we all know it's not stalking if it's on the internet, yeah. Join the madness by joining the Discord, and if you have a moment of time and a free $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, dig it, where you can request videos, get exclusive videos, and early access to content, yeah. Or go down to PayPal, where you can buy the shirts, brother. But most importantly, just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.